Angry guy here. And women are desperate to find boyfriends and husbands as passport bros leave. Women are desperate to find boyfriends and husbands as passport bros leave. Let's go ahead and just jump into the video.
I have done something that I've never done before, and I feel like empowered ass bitch boss right now because I left a first date in the middle of a meal, in the middle of a second glass of wine, because he was being a little ass problematic mother. And I literally said, hey, I'm straight up not having a good time right now. You are really pretentious, and I'm gonna go. And I got my purse, I got my jacket, and I left.
You know, or 30. That means I need to be married by like 26, 25. But if I want to be dating for like 2 years, that puts me back to 23. But if I want to meet the person first, start a friendship, and then go into dating, that needs to take a year. So that brings me back to 22. And then if I wanted to have some early years where I'm single, living it up, that brings me back a couple years there. So basically I needed to have met my future husband yesterday. Great. That's great. All right, we're not going to plan. So
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's episode, guys, we are going to be taking a look at 30-plus-year-old women who are still struggling.
It's so crazy how these women, they believe that the world belongs to them, and yet there are some of them realizing that they have wasted so much time. Guys, right now, a lot of y'all still don't even comprehend this, that the wall starts at 25. Because by the time a woman is 25 years old, she has had her heart broken a bunch of times. She has a high body count. She's amassed a body count, in the dozens, if not in the hundreds. She has worn her body out, going out clubbing and with Chads and Tyrones. She's done all of these things. This is the reason why a lot of women end up using tons of makeup to cover up the dark spots under their eyes and hide just how unhealthy they've become, because they've been burning the candle at both ends. I think that's the right analogy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of things and the reality of how a lot of modern day women live. And then when they hit these ages, they still think they can keep messing around. They hit 30, and the wall is there, and it's unrelenting. And then some women, they become desperate at this age and they want to get married. But then there are other women who are just amazing. Like, they just keep on pushing well into their 40s, and then they hit 50, and at 50, that's when they want a man. That's when they want to settle down. And sometimes even 60 now. You see 60-year-old women on TikTok who somehow were childless, and they're older, but they look like 60-year-old 20-somethings, and they're basically saying that they want this and that in a man, and they have the same really narcissistic attitudes and demanding attitudes that you find in young women. It's like, and you can immediately tell at that point that all they've been doing is they've spent literally 30 to 40 years. Imagine this, 40 years, because they are 60 years old. All right. 60 years old. So really, and I say 40 because I'm averaging it off. But if they started dating if they started seriously dating at 18 or 19, that's over 40 years. And a lot of people start dating in high school. So they've basically been chasing after Chad and Tyrone for over 40 years. 40 years when they should have been settling down and finding a husband. Back in those days, going back to our grandparents' era. I'm a millennial, so going back to my grandparents' era, you found your sweetheart in high school. You'd find your girlfriend, you'd find the girl you'd marry in high school. All right? And that's how it worked. And you'd graduate high school, you'd get married, the guy would go and get a job he would go and get a job. The woman would stay in the home. They would build a family together. All right. And they were able to do this because one, the men were also getting much higher wages. Much higher wages. The reason why they were getting higher wages is because the companies knew that these men have wives, they have to start a family, and they have to pay them enough to take care of themselves and also to take care of their wives. What ended up happening is that in the 70s, computers came about, and as a result of the computer revolution, they can now do the jobs of multiple people with fewer people. Right? It's crazy. Also in the 70s, women also entered the workforce. So there was the introduction of the computer, which allowed them to do more with less, and then women began entering the workforce in mass droves. So then at that point, they were able to say, well, you know what? Instead of paying people what they're worth, we're only going to pay them half of that, and then for them to survive and to do the things that they need to do, we're going to loan them that money. That's how you have companies like GE Bank and so forth. GE, General Electric. All right. These companies basically took all that money that they should have been paying their employees, and they opened banks with it. And then they started loaning that money to these people so they can use that money to purchase homes or to pay or buy cars and the things that they needed. And ironically, it's like you buy a car, you end up buying a car and buying clothes and buying all of these things just so that you can work. It's absolute insanity. Like, we live in an era today where people literally work to live. Like you work to live. But yeah, I mean, but you live to work, because you cannot do anything else. Everything you do, everything you own is literally so that you can work. And modern day women, all of these women that wanted to be career-based, boss-based, a lot of them are waking up and realizing work is hard and I'm going to have to work for the rest of my life. There's not going to be a retirement for me. You have all these women who are trying to convince other women that they are better than men and they can do everything. They can do the things that men cannot do, even though men continue to out-earn them, even though men continue to outrank them in wealth and position. It doesn't matter, because you have all these women who are telling other women, you can do it, you can have it all, you can have the family, you can be a billionaire, and it's absolutely insane. They're telling men cannot have it all, and it's something that men have known forever. We cannot have it all. But women are convinced that they can have it all and they'll get it all. I told you about this girl that lives in Nigeria that used to work with me, and this girl is crazy. She was literally living in a church. She was living in a church. Her father passed away. All right. Her mother is elderly, like in her 70s or 80s. She has a brother who she's estranged from. She's constantly getting ripped off by people. There were people she literally, some guys literally came and took money from her when she was heading to an ATM at one point. They basically took all of her money. And she had been living in a church at one point. She doesn't have like a proper cell phone, okay? And the phone that she was using was broken. Every time she tried looking for a job over there, she would end up getting scammed, okay? And like, she couldn't find and this woman, no humility whatsoever, told me that she wants a guy, and she's gonna get him. God's gonna give him to her, and this is the bare minimum. He has to be at least 6'3". He has to be thick, so he has to be built. He has to have that Tyrone figure. You heard me. He has to be 6'3" minimum. minimum 6'3". He has to be built. He has to have wealth so he can provide for her. He has to be kind, loving, empathetic, and a bunch of other things, okay? So he has to be able to hold her down, have all of these qualities. And by the way, she's overweight, almost 30, and literally has nothing to offer other than she's ambitious and career focused. I asked her, like, what do you have to offer? I'm ambitious, I'm career focused. Like, bro, you're not that. First, listen, I said to her straight up, listen, you're overweight, you know, and I'm just not trying to hate on you, but you're overweight. She's overweight. And when I say overweight, I don't mean like a little overweight. I mean, like, if she put on another 50 pounds, she'd be morbidly obese. All right? Or not, maybe even not 50, maybe 25. She's really overweight. And she's overweight. She's almost 30 years old. She cannot take care of herself. All right? And she's living in extraordinarily difficult circumstances, and she's in continuous amounts of peril because there are people always targeting her and taking advantage of her, and she has no humility whatsoever. She would rather be homeless than be with a man that is less than 6'3", than a man who is a millionaire. That a man who's going to have all of these qualities, and she said those are the bare minimum, and she's going to get it. I said to her, I pointed out to her that only 14% of the American population, like 14 are rounding off to like 15% of the American population, have men who are 6 feet tall. She said, I like those odds. She said those are good odds. I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, there's no point in having this conversation. And she hasn't spoken to me since because she could not live with reality. She could not live with me telling her the truth of the way things actually are. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications to never miss another video again, and like the video because it tells YouTube that you're enjoying the content and you want to see more of this content. Women are desperate to find boyfriends and husbands as passive roles leave. And the thing is, the truth is, these men are not coming back. They're not coming back, and women are living. They're not being honest with themselves. But women struggle with the truth because women cannot handle truth. Because if they handle truth, then they have to accept the reality of just how powerless they are in this world without men. Guys, that's everything I have for you. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.